Okay, Rose said, still gently feeling the petals flowing from her mother's back. Maybe being a plant wouldn't be so bad. There are perks, I guess. Of course there are, sweetheart, her mother replied, as suddenly one of the petals curled, swooping behind Rose and lifting her off of her feet very gently. Come now, let's go somewhere with a little bit more space, she said, as she exited the room, the petal carrying Rose along with her, entering Rose's bedroom, where there was much more space. Her mother's petals extended even further. This is so much better. I haven't had them out in years. Hiding on this planet has been so troublesome. But I needed to ensure your safety, so it was necessary, she said as the petal gently released Rose, setting her down on her bed. Whoa, so you can just move them whenever you want? Yes, I can. They're mine, of course, Rose's mother said, and I can do much more than that with them. We are not a weak people, Rose. Just because we are plants does not mean we are not strong. Humans have their weapons, and we have ours. But most of our abilities are defensive, not really meant to harm others, only to protect ourselves. Whoa, so we have abilities? Rose said, beginning to grow more and more interested, finally shaking off the fear, anxiety, and stray thoughts of being a monster or alien, now becoming more and more interested. So I'm gonna get a flower like yours, right? A big yellow one? No, Rose, her mother replied. Your flower will be all your own. Each and every one of us blooms different, depending on us as individuals. If you were to stand amidst a crowd of our people, all of them in full bloom, it would be an array of colors that would astonish the mind, as if standing in an endless field of flowers, each individual one having its own hue, tone. So, what color is mine going to be? Do you know? Well, of course I do, sweetheart, Rose's mother replied, as she gently reached down and cradled a small lock of her daughter's hair, holding it forward. It's going to be this color here. You can always tell what color that your flower will bloom by the color of your hair, and that is why I named you Rose, the most well-known red-blooming flower here on this planet. I did want you to fit in. At that point, a thought occurred to Rose. Mom, you're not actually from this planet, right? I mean, you grew up on our home world, I guess? Yeah, of course. That's where all of our people come from, and grew up, including me. So, tell me, Mom, is your name really Mary? Kinda sounds like a very human name for an alien plant. Well, it looks like you've caught me again. I couldn't, go around calling myself my real name. It would only confuse people. And the explanation is not something that I could really give out. But my name is basically the same. It is Mayri, not Mary. It is what our people call the sunrise on our home world. Okay, Rose replied. So are there any other details that you didn't bother to tell me? She said, sounding somewhat annoyed, looking at her mother with a somewhat cross expression. I know, I should have told you. But you have to understand, there were lots of complicated factors, Rose. I know, Mom, you wanted me to fit in. But since that's no longer an option, you might as well just tell me. So what are these abilities? Are they cool? Rose said, starting to peek a slight smile. Well, I don't know about if they're cool, but they are most definitely wondrous and all our own. First and foremost, our petals have many functions. Once your petals are extended, you can use them to entrap light, absorbing it at a highly developed rate, and then converting that energy into your other abilities. Now, all of these abilities have names originating from our home world. So to make things simple, I'll try to compare them to human things that you know about. First of these abilities is, well, defensive. The petals may seem soft and delicate, and they are, of course, but they also possess great strength. In times of danger, we are able to cocoon ourselves within them. They wrap around our body, hardening themselves and becoming protective, somewhat like armor, defending our most vital points from harm. We are also able to regenerate quite easily, regardless of what injuries that we might sustain, as long as we're alive. A single day soaking up sunlight is really all we need to recover. Whoa, so I have super healing? I suppose you could call it that, in a manner of speaking, Rose's mother replied. Really, we simply accelerate our growth and healing rate by absorbing large amounts of sunlight and rapidly metabolizing it. So, can we do anything else with our petals, like fly? I mean, they kind of look like wings as big as they are. No, Rose, unfortunately, we can't fly. Or at least, no sky ray that I know of possess that ability. But we do glide very well. Find a nice high point with some wind sweeping by, and you can glide quite a distance at petals with full extension. But that's basically it when it comes to the petals themselves. Other than the ability to heal, we also possess the ability to give life. On our homeworld, this is seen as one of our greatest powers. Our people possess the power to bring life and even the most barren of landscapes. There have been many points in time in which our homeworld was stricken by disaster, grief, and misfortune. Fires that swept the land, fell from the skies, and many other things. Even times when our homeworld was torn apart by war. We are known as the people of the eternal bloom because regardless of the situation, so long as there is soil, earth from which life can spring, we, the people of the eternal bloom, can bring life to it. The pollen, the spores that we emit from our backs, can be carried in the breeze very easily, and they are essentially tiny particles of energy gathered from our life and our absorption of light from the sun. With them, we produce these tiny particles, and whenever they come in contact with Earth, life blooms. It can generate life into even the most damaged of landscapes, creating fields of verdant green, growing trees and flowers, and all of the natural things that make places habitable for all of the living things in nature. This is why we are known as the people of the eternal bloom, because it is not just us that bloom. With us, everything around blooms into astonishing and beautiful life. Okay, that just sounds cool, Rose said, pulling her legs up under the bed underneath her, kneeling, now staring in complete astonishment, waiting for the next surprise from her mother. Okay, what else? There's more, isn't there? Her mother laughed. Yes, of course, Rose. There is one more ability that we possess. This one is of communion between us and nature, just like all of our other abilities. The last of our natural abilities is the ability to produce, let's call it honey for the time being. Honey? Yes, it is a special excretion that we are able to produce. Ew, that kind of sounds gross, Mom, Rose said, with a somewhat disgusted expression. Oh, calm yourself, it's fine. And very powerful at that. This honey is something that we do not actually use ourselves. Rather, it is a gift that we give to others that allows us to bond with nature in all of its forms. Bond with nature? Rose said, curious about what that meant.